Good morning. It's the 30th of August. This is video number 5. I had an interesting experience yesterday. I need to do some research about, do we work with the Maori community here in Perth, or the Kiwi community? So I went down to talk to a leader of the Kiwi community last night. It was very, very interesting what actually happened. Now, you might be wondering why I'm down here at a cafe in Maylands at 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. Well, we got home last night. We experienced a blackout. Everything went black in Maylands. I'm just looking at the other side of Maylands now. I can still see it's all blacked out. All the high-rise apartments over here, it's black. Right? Whereas on this side, Maylands, all the lights are on. Now, there's something really interesting about this situation. So this morning I got up early, around about 5, and electricity wasn't back on. Now, normally when you have a blackout, the electricity's back on in 1 or 2 hours, but we're now over 9 hours later. Maylands is still blacked out outside, so we've got a blackout, total blackout. So all our fridges and freezers will be melting, right? The longer they leave it, the harder it is to reboot it, or the electricity in our suburb here. So that's going to use up a lot more energy just to reboot everything. That's why they have rolling brownouts. When they have a problem like this, and then they'll put enough power into our particular area to keep the fridges and freezers operating, and then they'll cut us off, and then another part of the city has the electricity for a certain amount of time, then they cut them off, and then the next part of the city. So they're called rolling brownouts to keep the fridges and refrigerators frozen. Once they melt, you've got a problem rebooting it. You use far more electricity. But I asked the question, why did this happen last night? How come it's 9 hours later, we've still got a blackout in my part of Maylands? Well, remember what I said in the last video, how I had this experience and I went to, when I was in the Netherlands, in the wealthy area of Perth, full of old people who were cashed up. But when I went down to that local shopping centre, I freaked out because everybody was old except for me. I fled, I didn't even go to the shops. I went home, but this is freaky. Old people everywhere, which showed me, gave me a glimpse of the future. That's what our community is going to be like if we bring in this rotten baby boomer generation as the 80% of the population. So, good insight, wasn't it? You just had to be aware of it. Now, this problem last night brought to my awareness too, blackouts. At this time next year, that's what's going to happen all around the world. Cities, suburbs are going to have blackouts, total blackouts, if your city is dependent on coal-fired power production. So I want you, our followers, to follow up on this and check out online how much coal is burned, or whether your electricity production is renewables or hydro, or is it coal-fired power production? Because if it's coal-fired power production, what we experienced last night, you're going to experience on a permanent basis. There's a Agenda 21 rebellion that is happening inside the dark web, where these underworld organisations have watched that 20-minute video by Rosa Keel about Agenda 21 exposed. Check it out. And ask yourself, how did those underworld organisations react when I told them to go and watch that video? So fuming. Right, when they looked at the fact that the United Nations claims to be solving our climate change issue, but right now, check Coal Watch, they're building 1,600 new coal-fired power stations. Coal is responsible for 45% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Why are they building 1,600 new ones? China itself is building one a day, commissioning one a day. Right, they're killing us. Interesting, isn't it? You read Agenda 21 and you will find out why, because the name of the game is to use climate change to destroy our food production right around the world. Weapon of mass destruction. And they're buying up all the super farms, these wealthy elite. The super farms eat all the small farms, knock all our farmers out of business. And when the crash of the global monetary system, which is going to occur in less than 90 days in November, they're going to seize all those farms. Right? So they're destroying all the food production around the world, taking control of the food production in the rural areas, and bankrupting the farmers, so they take total control. In some countries, they've deliberately destroyed the ability for the nation to produce food, like in the United States. Well, that's another story. I won't go there. But you know, this blackout last night was a similar experience to seeing all those old people in the shopping centre. It brought to my awareness that I needed to notify you that every railway track on the planet that carries coal is going to be cut up. Cut up. Because this underworld, they're not going to let the UN starve their families to death. They're not going to let the UN do what they're planning to do. And they're on the warpath. And what they plan to do in November is cut up all those railway tracks. And they've already positioned the drop saws right across Australia with their sleeper cells. So you can kiss goodbye to Rio Tinto, BHP Billiton, Hancock Mining. If you've got shares in those companies, you need to get out, because you're going to lose out big time. So I'll give you a little hint here. So, and if you don't believe that they're going to cut it up, check out my video online called BHP Billiton Train Derailment Cover Up, because that was the first. Just to show you, our followers, that these boys are serious about cutting up those railway tracks. And whereas the government, because I challenged the government on it, I said, no, I know they got cut up, I know who cut them up, right? But they chose to ignore it and do the cover up. But our people chose to take note that that is a very serious threat. They're going to cut those railway tracks up because they got nothing to lose. You know, when the Indigenous activists cut those railway tracks up like they cut up the BHP one, what have they got to lose? Before colonisation, they were never currency slaves. Before colonisation, they owned the land. This was their land. Before colonisation, they never had 2,600 little children under the age of 12 homeless in just Perth, right? Before colonisation, they didn't have to pay taxes on their land, their cars, employment, which they didn't have before then. So what's the difference? It's all different, isn't it? So their fallback position is they make it worse for them, cut the railway tracks up. It's called an equalising effect, because it sends all the mining companies and the executives and their owners to the dog queue. And Gina Reinhardt's the richest person in Australia. She owns Hancock Mining, and think about it, if she's got no railway tracks to get the iron ore to the coast, how the heck is she going to pay off that blooming $10 billion debt they got? No income, no revenue from exports, all the investors are going to pull out. Name of the game. So for you institutional investors that are listening to this video, take heed, watch that video. If that was a cover-up, it's going to happen, right? So going back to last night, total blackout here in mainland. It's unusual. We have a blackout. It may last, you know, a couple of hours and they get it back on because they can't afford those freezers to thaw out. But here we have a situation that it's still blacked out, and I'm looking at that high-rise building, it's still blacked out. Right, we're near daytime. but usually there'd be all lights on in their balconies and things, but there's not. So this is what I'm bringing to your awareness, that check how much coal power production in your town or city there is. Because this morning I had to get up, get my mobile phone, put the light on and fumble my way around. I had to fumble my way around in the dark because our rapper, he had my phone, he used up all the charge. I had to come down here to this cafe and get it all charged. So, you know, total blackout. 9-hour blackout, unusual, to let me know, tell our followers, if you live in a town or city dependent on coal power production, this time next year, you're not going to have any power. You're going to be like us. We had to have candles last night, right? And when the fridges thaw out, how are you going to refrigerate your food in your freezers? You're going to use your stove? How are you going to charge your mobile? I couldn't charge my mobile, it was on 2%. I had to come down here. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to use your television set, sound system? What's going to happen to your quality of life? You need to think about getting out of that town or city that you live in and working with us in building these sustainable cities and villages throughout the frontier and emerging markets and paradise, where you won't have to worry about it, 100% renewables. And I just had reading the newspapers today, the lithium industry's gone down the tubes. How about that, eh? What they need for the lithium batteries for these so-called Tesla cars, it's down the tubes. So you can't rely on anything out there. That's the way it works, right folks? So I want you to check out online how much power production in your town or city is coal-fired power production. Watch Agenda 21 by Rosa Keogh. It's a 20-minute video. Take note of what she says and ask yourself, what underworld organisation, what outlaw motorcycle gang is going to put up with that video? And what Indigenous activists, particularly if they're rappers, are going to put up with that? And if they're high on ice, they're going to be out to those railway tracks. They're going to be bustling outside rhymes, telling everybody, we're going to cut these railway tracks up. Mate, you watch how big their followers are going to get when they start cutting those railway tracks up and they start freestyle rapping as the train is hurtling off the blooming track, because there's no tracks there, they cut them up with a drop saw. or you can try it with the gas pump. It's really, really difficult. So I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just telling you this is what they plan to do. And if you don't believe us, then watch that video. BHP bulletin, train derailment, cover up. That's for the benefit of our people. So watch it. It's not a joke, folks. It's a very serious situation. And that wasn't a joke when I saw those old people. That was brought to my awareness. Whoa, there's a problem in the future here. So that's the problem. So please, don't ignore it. Yeah, at the end of the day, what they said to me was, you know, the United Nations have been for 50, 60 years claiming that they are leading the way in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But the reality is it's increased, and at the final summary of COP23, the climate change conference last year, they summed it up in one sentence. They said, we've failed to stabilise our climate system. Mankind must now be prepared for catastrophic climate change, runaway climate change. How's that? For an end result of billions of dollars worth of taxpayers' money from all around the world for an incompetent organisation, which is a big con, deception, you know, sustainable development for the 21st century. That's what that Agenda 21 is about. Get to know what it really is about and ask yourself, Are those Indigenous activists and rappers going to put up with this Agenda 21? Well, they can cut those railway tracks up. Because their fallback position is go back to country, live off the land, because that's how they were living before colonisation. They weren't currency slaves. They didn't have any debt. They didn't have a dole office. Right? They weren't in poverty. Today they are. Fallback position, cut up those tracks, make the rich broke, go back and live off the land. And right now in mainlands, our fridges and freezers are thawing out. I couldn't charge my phone. They'd come down here to do it, because I only had 2% left, thanks to our wrap up. No, it's too busy wrapping. So anyway, YouTube. So here we are. How are you going to use your electric stove? How are you going to use your television set? How are you going to use your computer? How are you going to learn? How are you going to run your businesses? You need to get real. People don't believe me. And it's like the tsunami. Did people learn from that tsunami in 2003? Killed so many of our Asian brothers and sisters? Yes, they did. Now they have tsunami sirens on the coast, by the beaches. They've educated the people, run to high ground when you hear the sirens. They have the seismic pickups out in the ocean floating there. At the moment there's an earthquake, the warnings go straight into the coast to notify the government and the security forces that the systems are designed to shut down immediately all the railway tracks, so that if the earthquake comes in or the tsunami, it doesn't take out the train with all the people on board. But these are the warning devices. So what I'm giving you is the warnings about the coal power production coming to halt. And as the bro said from the underworld, you know, the UN failed to stabilise our climate system. They failed to stabilise our climate system, or even reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And they said, watch us. We're going to reduce it all around the world, because we can, through the dark web networks. Right, and there, by the way, they're united by tribal roots. Right? So if you're not in the tribe, you're not in. You can't get into that network, because they're invisible and indestructible dark network criminal organisations modelled off what we created in New Zealand. So, you know, that's another story. So, they can't be stopped. That's the bottom line. You got to think about it. There's your tsunami warning. Well, these clowns overseas, when the tsunami warning goes off, they're ignorant. And this is what ignorant people do. They don't heed the warnings. They won't listen to experts. They are the experts. These are the idiots that are going to be sitting on the coastline, eating caviar, drinking wine, having a good time, listening to their music. And the next thing they see that, ooh, what's happening? Oh, the water's receded back in the ocean. Yeah, another 10 minutes later, boom, in comes the tsunami at high speed. Takes them out. Takes out all the railway systems. Takes out all their infrastructure, houses, buildings, everything. Tsunami, check it out. That tsunami, the Asian tsunami, see what happened. Except this is an economic tsunami that's coming. And you can either heed the warning and run to high ground, keep eating your caviar on the beach. Your choice. So this video isn't for everybody, it's only for our followers, and we're going to put it on another platform so that people actually can't get access to it. I'm going to close off here and do another video.